Welcome to Food News Today. Have you ever wondered if your exercise regime is actually helping you burn fat? Well, the answer could be as easy as breathing. Researchers in Japan have developed a prototype for a portable fat breathalyzer. By just breathing into the device, it can detect the levels of acetone on one's breath. Now, acetone is primarily produced in the blood when fat is broken down, but it's also expelled through alveoli in the lungs and is therefore present in exhaled breath. After detecting the exhaled breath, the device then calculates the acetone concentration levels and transmits the result to a smartphone within just 10 seconds. Simple. Now, the device was tested using 3 groups of volunteers. The first had no calorie restrictions or exercise requirements. The second were given light exercise but no calorie restrictions. And then the third group was given light exercise plus calorie restrictions. What was the result? Breath acetone concentrations remained constant for the first 2 groups, as they were not able to lose significant amounts of fat. But the volunteers in the third group showed a significant increase in their breath acetone concentration and were able to lose significant amounts of fat. So there's no word yet on whether this prototype will be made into something available for consumers worldwide, but it could be a very useful tool if it does. Sticking with our gadget news, check this out. Scientists at the National Taiwan University have come up with a tooth sensor to analyze oral activities. Well, this is a small, very small circuit board that can fit into dentures, crowns, cavities, or braces, and by keeping track of jaw motion, figure out how much time you spend speaking, chewing, drinking, coughing, and smoking. Early tests have found that the sensor got it right 94% of the time, but so far in just 8 people. And the other downside, currently there's no way to include a tiny battery. So the prototype relies on an external wire to connect to a power source. There's clearly a lot more work to be done in the meantime. If a doctor wants to know if you've been smoking or overeating, they're just going to have to ask you, and you're going to have to answer honestly. Do you go for crunchy or smooth? A recent article in the Wall Street Journal explained that food companies are paying closer attention to consumers' texture preferences, and food developers are putting specific textures at the top of the list of food attributes that they want to achieve. So, of course, we checked in with our Facebook friends to ask what they thought. Is texture just as important as taste? What's your favorite food texture? According to Andrew, it's all about the crunch, which has also received the rank of captain, unlike smooth. For Noah, it depends on what the crunch is made of. Crackers, croutons, even nuts are great, but what is the deal with caraway seeds? Nikki likes both. Smooth, as in creme brulee, mascarpone cheese, fresh mozzarella. But if it's a cookie, then I want it like my BFE cookies, which are healthy and crunchy. Gary makes it simple. I want food that should be crunchy to be very crunchy, and smooth intended foods to be very creamy. Do you have any questions about GMOs? If so, then go to GMOAnswers.com. It's a new biotech industry website that allows people to ask any questions they have on GMOs and get them answered quickly. Now, also answered by university professionals in over 120 different universities. The goal is to answer questions within 24 hours, but depending on the volume, that could vary. Kathy Enright, the executive director of the Council for Biotechnology Information, spoke with FoodNavigator-USA and said that the vast majority of people don't know what GMOs are. She goes on to say, we're bringing the body of evidence online in an easy to understand way, and people can look for themselves. We're not trying to convince or cajole anyone. We want to talk with them honestly, and we're being very transparent about who's supporting it. So, questions, concerns, you know where to go. That's all for this week's edition of Food News Today. Don't forget to check out our website at supermarketguru.com. Send me a message on Facebook or Twitter. Food News Today is sponsored by ConAgra Foods, who shares with me the desire to provide the most current, interesting, and unbiased food news. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.